Okay, y'all. So again, I'm in season 3 of the Girl Uprising podcast. And because it is still March, I have been interviewing some amazing women who have businesses who I just feel like y'all need to know. And just so they can get their story out there. So our least least but not last but not least, there we go. Last but not least, one
That's
of my
bad. That's
one
bad.
one of my booths, interviewing her, y'all, she has an amazing business, amazing personality, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself to you all. Tell you all a little bit about her and her business. Say hello to Sahara. Hey, Sahara.
Hi, y'all.
Hey. So tell us a little bit about your business.
So, hi, y'all. My name is Sahar Saran. For those who don't know, I am so very grateful to be here with Akila, the host, the founder of Girl Uprising, a nonprofit
Okay,
girl. She
okay.
does the mentorship thing, and she hosts these incredible spaces for these incredible conversations. So,
Yes,
thank you for having me, first off.
of course.
But second, yeah, my name's Sahar Saran. I am the owner of Black Gold Publishing. We are located in the Hampton Roads area. We have over, today, we have over 212 titles, I believe.
Mm,
Over 86 authors being represented by 17 editors, 24 graphic designers.
mm.
I mean, the list goes on, and we are primarily Black and Brown operated. So,
Okay, I love that.
thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I have to ask,
hmm
why a book publishing company?
I know everyone's asking me, like, girl, why did you get into this business?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
for those who have known me for a considerable amount of my life, they know that I've been writing for
Mm,
practically my entire life.
mm,
I've been featured in the daily press. I've been published in articles in various magazines.
mm-hmm.
So writing is just a love language for me. It's something that I've always
Mm.
really done. But the story of why I started Black Gold Publishing specifically starts
Okay.
not in the greatest place, but I do love telling this story just because
Mm-hmm.
it continues to motivate me when I think back on it. But I was 18 and I decided to really take my writing seriously. I wanted to go
Mm-hmm.
and go get published. So I had this book. It was entitled Brooklyn. It's like an urban novel, with some social and social kind of politically, driven moments inside because, obviously we go through a lot, but I won't get into it. But I pitched it off to a publisher, went through the first round of acquisitions. The first
Mm-hmm.
editor who read it loved it.
Mm-hmm.
When it got to the lead editor, however, they got back to me and I'll never forget because I was sitting there like, what? He
Mm.
told me that the book was too ethnic.
Oof.
My sentiments exactly because now mind you, I was 18 at the time. I didn't really know, the implications of what he had just said, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until I got older and I realized, you know what? How can a book be too ethnic? What does that even mean? How are you going to
Mm-hmm.
make someone's work too black? Now, what are we talking about?
Talking about here.
So I started Black Gold Publishing, just off the back in the strength
Mm-hmm.
of noting that I had went through a discriminatory experience in the publishing world. And
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine how many Black authors probably went through the same, not just from that publishing house, but just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And we are kind of vastly underrepresented here in Hampton Roads, in the Virginia area anyway. So I was like, this might be a good move. I took some
Mm-hmm.
time, I moon shadowed, I mentored, did some research, kind of made sure I had all of the things that I needed to do, in line. And I
Mm-hmm.
started Black Oak 2017.
Oh, that's right.
Man,
Kudos to you.
yeah.
Kudos to you for not letting what he said keep you from excelling.
Thank you.
I think a lot of times we hear certain things or we have stumbling blocks and we're just like, well, if they said it, then I'm just not good enough or this isn't for me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
kudos to you.
Thank you.
hmm So if you can, tell the people a little bit about like how it started. Like, was it hard to start? Would you say that it was easy, or just a little bit about the starting process?
Oh, baby. It was just me. Band, one man army, all that. I was doing everything from the editing to the graphic design work, the promo, the copy editing, the print proofing. Honey, I was wearing every hat. But I'm thankful because, when that first author did give me a shot, and shout out to her, Chris Cantrell, Grimoire of a Black Girl, I'll never forget. It was one of the most beautifully written poetry collections I've read by, just like an indie author. And I had to do everything for it. I had to proofread it and edit it and push it and create the graphics. And I'm sitting here like, dang, Tara, this is a lot of work. But at the very end of that experience, I sat back and I was like, wow, girl, look what you can do. And seeing how satisfied that she was when I got it done, that led me and inspired me. I guess you could say motivated me to keep pushing. So even though I was by myself in the beginning and the work was very hard, it was so rewarding. And I'm thankful. So yes, it was hard, yes.
Come on, Black Girl Magic. That's, I commend you, and just like all women who really have stuck to it. Like, you found your passion and you just like, no, like, it's hard. This is ghetto, but I'm gonna keep, because it is. I mean, it really is hard. And I think when we look on social media, we see, oh, look at her. She's speaking, she doing it, she doing that. We don't know what you had to go through.
We don't even know. And I'm telling you, like, anytime I see a Black woman on stage, I'm like, I know she earned that, honey. She earned that. Okay.
Listen,
I don't ever get tired of seeing it.
No, because we know that if we see a Black woman in any position, we already know she had to deal with the others, just not thinking that she's worthy, having to prove herself so much. You already know that she has a substantial amount of like just projects and work that she's done, credentials, degrees. She has to have that.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look, the merit that you have to be considered inclusive as a Black girl, to be invited to the table, to be invited through those doors, to be told you're finally good enough. That level of and and sometimes I wonder, how much of that do we really need to prove our worth? Like, really though, like we don't need to wear every badge and have every title. But I know why the Black girls do it, because they get through those doors. So yeah.
But now, right? So now that you're a woman who has a business, you can now help other people, with their businesses, and they can see that it's possible, right?
There you go. A lot of people don't know this. I dropped out of college. I went back to get my associates, but I dropped out. I had my son during a real nasty divorce, and I just didn't have the mental capacity to focus on school. But the fact that I was able to start this business without a degree and push more Black authors into spaces, heritable spaces, it's like, okay, well, look at you, Sahar. You're gonna have to really be a representation of it's possible to get your dreams, it's possible to get your goals accomplished, and you don't necessarily have to take the traditional route, if that makes sense. I don't want to be discouraging of the traditional route, you know what I mean? I just want to make sure people know you can get it done without it,
Thanks. And it's not even being like discouraging. It's that, like you said, just bringing light to the fact that you don't have to go the traditional way.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with anything, because I think a lot of times, like, and I say it myself, I felt like we were sold a dream, right? It's like, if you go to school, you get good grades, you're going to automatically have this great life. But they don't tell us about the things like, okay, you may get out of college and you may not make as much as you think you're going to make. You might go through a nasty divorce. You might lose a family member. Like things happen, and you still have to know how to like keep going. You know what I'm saying? And pivot.
Yes, that pivot. Ooh. Girl, we got a whole episode on that, honey. The amount of times I had to pivot, baby.
Well, what were some indicators? I mean, and you can give us an example or whatever, but what were some indicators, or like what were some times where you just like, this isn't working for me. I'm not going to give up, but I just need to pivot into another direction.
Well, when I first started Black Book Publishing, I intended it to be a primarily traditional publishing house. And what that looks like is, you sign a book or an author and you give them an instant payout, right? It's called an advance. The situation or the expected situation is that the author's book sales will be so good, and the royalties that you'll be making is kind of going to pay you back for what what you've kind of put in. Learned the hard way, girl, that ain't going to work for me. And it wasn't because it wasn't going to work for me, because we are back to doing traditional publishing now, obviously, after years later. But I realized, though, because you can't ignore how discriminatory this market is and how Black authors are often denied opportunities and chances for visibility in mainstream bookstores. And that will always be a hindrance in how we recoup any advances that we give out. So we learned fairly quickly that, you know what, if you give out all of your your money and you don't get anything back in return, you're gonna go broke to hard. You're gonna go broke. You can't do it. So I did have to flip it, move into hybrid publishing where authors are able to kind of pay for the services that they need. That kind of got us through. So now we're back into traditional publishing. But if I hadn't pivoted when I did, I would have been so discouraged. I would have said, "Oh, forget this. It's not for me, girl." But I had to pivot. Sometimes you just know. You gotta listen. You gotta listen to that inside voice. Working. This is not working for whatever reason. Listen to it and don't give up when that voice says this ain't working. No. Well, how can we make it work? So, yeah.
That seems like you knowing yourself and trusting yourself enough to say, this does not like feel right. I'm looking at the numbers. It ain't right. This doesn't feel right. Something is wrong.
Wrong.
Like trusting yourself enough to know that, okay, I still have a good product. I still have a good service.
Yeah.
I just need to do things differently. It's hard. It's hard. Oh, it's so hard.
It's hard. Nobody wants to admit when things are going wrong. When you put so much effort into an idea. But when you get to that place, you just gotta say, like, girl, don't play yourself. Don't play yourself. Okay. Keep it pushing. Make it work elsewhere, but don't play yourself.
That's a word though.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, because a lot of people that I know, including myself, it's like you'll have an idea or start a business, and if something doesn't go the way that you think it's supposed to go, like we give up.
We give up. We're just like, you know what? It didn't work out. Or you see those serial entrepreneurs that then go on and start 17 other business ideas, none of them coinciding. And I have nothing against that. Okay, I ain't throwing no shade, y'all. I swear to God.
The shade. Oh, God.
I truly do believe that if you are going to go that route, you find that something's not working and you're going to go and start a new business. I truly believe never leave any idea behind. Like incorporate it somehow. You started making cakes and the cakes ain't selling. Well, hey, bake some cookies.
Okay.
But don't go out there trying to sell knives and stuff and trying to sell furniture. That ain't got nothing to do with them cakes. Go sell some cookies. See how that works. You know what I mean?
That that makes sense. It makes sense, but that takes a lot of just like tenacity.
It do. Yeah.
It take a lot of tenacity, and just like you saying what you're saying, like, yeah, I went through something, but I pivoted. I still
Yeah.
had a business. Like, we need to hear that.
Yes, ma'am. More
We need to hear
truth,
that.
more honesty, and more
Mm-hmm.
authenticity in these conversations with,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, but especially Black women business owners.
Mm-hmm.
We go through more than most. So why can't we be a little bit more honest? Sankofa, you go through it and you give it back.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't take it with you. So give it back to somebody so they can learn from what you went through. So,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So why why do you feel like it's important for women, Black women, women of color to start businesses?
Well, you know what? If you had asked me this question
Mm.
a few years ago, I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been a little bit more enthusiastic to kind of say, yeah, everyone needs to start a business. Black women
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I see us leaving the workspaces, we're
Mm.
migrating from corporate, we're migrating out from, the medical field and the tech. I do see more Black women moving into tech. I will say that, but
Uh-huh.
um, I just wish there was a return of the Black woman in the workspace. I think
Mm.
a lot of people jump into entrepreneurship. They quit their 9 to 5. They're done with it. They're like, are they all in?
Mm-hmm.
And then it fails or it doesn't go that way, like we just previously talked about. And
Mm-hmm.
now they are in search of something else.
Mm-hmm.
When truthfully, I think if you can't make it work at that 9 to 5, I
Mm-hmm.
believe you should start your own business
Mm.
because the skill sets that you need to be an entrepreneur are
Mm.
foundation skill sets that you learn within the workplace.
Okay.
You have to learn how to show up when you don't feel like getting up. You'll
Come
get up.
on.
You'll get up for that man at that job. 7 a.m. You right there. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason,
Mm.
7 a.m. at your house, you ain't getting
Mm-hmm.
up.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, I just want to encourage Black women that yes, starting a business is a beautiful thing, but master the art of being good in any position. And
Come on.
okay, even when that position ain't the boss.
Come
Just
on.
learn how to work, learn those skills, get those
Mm-hmm.
set in stone, and then once you've got all that figured out, yeah, go ahead start that business.
Come on. You know
Mhm.
what? If I could stand up and clap and stomp my feet, because I'm telling you, a lot of people just feel like, oh, I'm working a job. The job is not serving me. Let me quit. Let me leave. And it's just like, you were
Mm-mm.
there for 3 months.
Come on,
You
Keela.
you came across a situation that you didn't like. You didn't push
Yeah.
through. You didn't like elevate. You didn't grow. Like, you didn't try to see things from a
Yeah.
different perspective, and you just automatically feel like you have the skill set
Mm.
to just start a business. And I'm not saying, like, definitely, like, there are spaces when it's like, okay,
Right.
you've been in this job for a while. It's time for you to pivot, time for you to move.
Right.
But sometimes that's not always the case. And I'm glad you said that.
Yes. We got to be honest about this. It is
Mm.
honestly 80% not the case.
Oh,
Stay at that job, girl. Stay at that job.
thug it out.
Thug it out. Get that
Mm.
raise. Reach as
Mm-hmm.
far as you can. And once you get to
Mm-hmm.
that place where it ain't working for you, go on and leave. But
Come
girl, stay at that
on.
job. Stay at that job.
That's wisdom.
Okay? Stay at that job.
I'm
Look,
feeling,
look, this this me talking to me, okay? I should have stayed in mine. Hello?
listen, I had an experience like right after I graduated college.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a position, I was like, I don't like this. It's too much.
Oh.
Like, it's too much. And I left. And
Mm.
me leaving Sahar, oh my gosh, that was a life changing experience. The 2 years after I graduated,
Yeah.
ooh, I could write a book on those
Ooh,
2 years.
come on, and I'll publish it.
Listen,
Ooh, I
if,
know, I know that feeling.
mm,
Like, especially out of college. Ooh.
yeah,
Mm, mm,
girl.
mm,
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you, if I could just, those 2 years, I was like, I was not prepared for this adult life. Why
Yes.
why did I leave the job?
Yes.
And it took me years to kind of look back and say, okay,
Mm.
you learn good lessons. I learned a lot, but it was hell.
Because while you in it, ain't no learning going on while you're in it.
Get me out of here. Woo! Girl.
I'm just trying to breathe. Okay.
Let get me out of here right now. I'm telling
Open
you,
the
I was
door.
come it was a lot. It was a
Yeah, I
lot.
know. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah, so
just, yeah.
I'm glad I'm really, really glad that she said that because people don't like to hear
They
they
don't.
don't want to hear it.
And I don't understand why. When did we stop priding ourselves on being good at our damn job? When did we stop saying, dang, I feel like it's just it must be the new era that we in because
Mm-hmm.
we have so much. I don't know how to say it because I don't want to say it like it's a bad thing, but we
Mm-hmm.
have so much autonomy that we are like sitting at a job that we probably prayed for at once
Mm-hmm.
upon a time, probably was doing applications every day for once upon a time,
Mm-hmm.
and you there and you tired, and now you just say, I'm just gonna up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world is God gonna interpret those blessings He just gave you being thrown away like that? And you think He gonna bless something else you start? He can't trust you.
You you better preach. Okay? You better
I'm
preach.
not trying to get to preaching. I'm just saying. I
Hey.
really think we need to learn how to stay in our positions,
Mm-hmm.
not in a way that's like entrapment, like we feel like
Mm-hmm.
trapped. Obviously, like you said, if you got to get out of there, you
Mm-hmm.
got to get out of there.
Okay.
But just to learn some things, there's a lot you can
Mm-hmm.
learn at these jobs, that
Yeah.
they don't necessarily want you to learn, but you take that and you give it to your business. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, and like you were saying, every situation, every word of advice is not for every situation. Like,
right.
like let's be honest, but there are
Yeah.
those times where it's like, no, you need to stay. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't have learned X, Y, and Z if you didn't.
Right.
So
Discernment. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
question though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you had to give some advice, right? Life advice, career advice, whatever, to your 16-year-old self, what would that advice be?
Oh, girl. Well, I want to get explicit, but I won't go there because I know what I was doing at 16. I don't know about
Do
y'all,
it. Do it.
but to
Do
stay
it.
on to stay on subject, uh, I will say that if I could tell little Miss Tahara anything,
Mm,
I would tell her to cancel the noise.
mm,
A lot of the decisions I made in my early adulthood, my early teenagehood, was influenced and driven by the thoughts of others. They
mm,
hardly had anything to do with me.
mm,
And I realized how much backwards walking I've been doing. I had to come back, walk down those depressive thoughts. I got to walk
mm,
back and take back those decisions that I regret. I got to walk back down on my mental, uh,
mm,
state of mind and being about how I feel about myself due to those
mm,
thoughts that I kind of created a foundation of when I was 16, when I was young. So if I could tell her anything, it would just to be to cancel out the noise. Don't worry about what people are saying.
mm.
And hell, that's something I need to hear today. So,
Listen,
but yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
That's really, really, really good advice. And when you're young, it's like you don't it's kind of hard to be an individual. Like
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
be honest.
yeah.
Let's be honest. But if you're young, right, and we would say, I'm saying like a teenager, like it's okay to, kind of go down your own path. Like you don't
Yeah.
always have to be in the group, and it's fine.
Yep.
It's fine. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Um, book publishing.
Yeah.
What type of like trends um have you seen? Like where's the current state of book publishing? Um
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually
Why?
really excited about what's going on in the publishing world right now. I was just talking to my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, girl, we're getting more Afrofuturism now. I'm seeing a more like black sci-fi. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
the innovation and fluidity that is happening within black authorship right now. And I see that the publishing houses are paying more of, I guess you could say, an interest in those type of
Mm-hmm.
novels, which pushes, cause and effect. It pushes the authors to keep creating these type of novels. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot of genre expansion, a lot of innovation happening right now. What is you know what? I was literally just talking about this book. Um, Let me see. I got it. Africa Risen, a new era of speculative fiction. I'm not sure who the author is. I will tell you that, but it's an anthology. It
Mm-hmm.
is probably one of the most exciting books. It's not out yet. It's still
Okay.
on its way, but it talks about the movement from traditional fiction, how we've been taught how to write from an English narrative point,
Uh-huh.
the language of the land, rather, and
Mm-hmm.
how we are moving into speculative fiction, where we start to kind of deconstruct what we know about fiction and narrations. And we are now instilling a lot more culture and blackness and rooted identity within these narratives, which it's just about time, honey. You know?
Okay. Teach the people, because I've never
Yeah.
heard that. I've never heard, girl,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Interesting.
Check out that book, Africa
Right.
Rising, a new era of speculative fiction.
A new
So,
era.
so
Okay.
good, so good.
Love that. Thank you, Sahara. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Please tell the people what some of the services that you provide, and also drop your social media handles or how you want the people to reach you.
Of course. So, first of all, we're Black Gold Publishing. So, on
Okay.
across all social media,
Okay.
I'm not that creative to create a whole bunch of handles, y'all. So, Black Gold Publishing at Instagram, Facebook,
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn. We on Twitter sometimes and a little bit of TikTok, but I'll be up there for that.
I love it.
Yeah, we offer pretty much all traditional publishing services. We
Hmm.
do editing, we do graphic design, illustrations. I have amazing illustrators. And they can
Hmm.
create an entire children's book for you. We also have business services, so
Okay.
cards, logos, flyers, things like that. So that's a little
Uh-huh.
bit, on the a la carte side. But as it comes down to the publishing services, um,
Hmm.
we do focus groups, we do proofreading, we do book tours, we can republish your books, put them into stores. So like
Hmm.
self-published to begin with, and you're now looking to get more traditionally published, we can go ahead and do a second edition for you and get that back out. So yeah, you name it, we can do it.
Okay. Cool, cool, Sahara. I have to ask this question
Oh,
before we end.
look, y'all, I know Keela. I know Keela for real, y'all. So when she say something like that, I get nervous, honey.
No. So I'm thinking, I hear like a lot of times, I think in conversation we joke and
Yeah.
we'll say, girl, you need to write a book. But what are like some indicators that maybe someone should write a book about like their life or their situation? Like what are some things that they should be looking for that a book is probably needed?
That is such a good question. I'm so glad you asked that.
Mm,
Let me tell you, if you're a person that
mhm,
literally just thinks a lot. Now I know this
mm.
sounds silly, but let's say you're just a person that you can't stop thinking about that time back in '09. Every time you standing around the refrigerator, girl, you just think about that time in '09.
Come on.
That time in '09, honey. If it sings to you like that, write it down. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Another indicator is people who are naturally, what is it? Whimsical, spontaneous. People who
Mm,
have very imaginative thoughts. You're
mm,
not just thinking about a vacay in Cancun, girl. You think about what y'all gonna eat. You thinking about what it gonna look like, smell like, what you
Mm.
gonna wear, and girl, the trip ain't till 2027, but you can't.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have
Mm.
an imaginative projectile type of,
Mm.
and I would say you probably should become a writer. And then, just generally speaking, for those who are always writing, like if you have
Uh-huh.
a journal in your hand,
Uh-huh.
if you're always jotting something down, if you always
Mm-hmm.
feel, well, that would make a good story and that would make a good story, if, right. I mean, I really
Mm.
want to encourage everybody to write, but those would be the biggest indicators for me. So I had a girl last month write a book, and she she said, I didn't think I would ever do this. And I was like, why?
See?
She said, I haven't written anything. And I was like, well, who are you in your friend group? And she said, oh, girl, I'm the one that's always thinking of the ideas. I was like, well, you're a writer too.
See?
Yep. So, yeah.
Wow. See, I never would have thought that those would have been like the indicators.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly. A lot of people think you just have to be a natural born, Baldwin or
Mm-hmm.
Audre Lorde. No, no, no. If you just are someone with a big idea or big thoughts or someone with a big memory bank, you probably should get
Mm.
to writing. Put it down. Let it out.
Yes.
Little yes, sister.
Yes. That's exciting. So y'all listen,
Yeah.
if that describes you, you gotta hit her up. Hit
Come,
her up.
come on. We're taking new submissions.
Okay. Now hit her up.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, for sure. Um, any last words for the people before we go ahead and wrap it up?
Yes. I want to say, y'all, I know we hold on by a thread politically. And this probably has been
Mm,
one of the toughest Women's Month for us because we are
mm,
just trying to strangle down all these other issues going on. But
mm,
if you can think about anything, and I know it's almost over, so carry with you in the April, girl.
mm.
If you could think about anything this Women's Month, just remember that you matter.
Come on.
I know we're living in a world right now that wants to tell you that you don't matter, you matter.
Mm,
Um, and what you're doing is important. I never
mm,
discouraged. We got this DEI thing going on. We got so many people losing their jobs. What you started is important. Pick it back up.
mm,
Nobody tell you no. So just know all my girls, all my sisters out there, all my brown, my black and beautiful women, y'all,
mm.
there you are everything. And I hope you remember that for the rest of your beautiful life, honey.
Come on. Oh, that was needed. I'm gonna make that a post. Filling your words.
Right.
That was good.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest
Okay.
on the podcast. I'm definitely gonna have to revisit
Yes,
some
yes.
things with you. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yeah, look, cheers. It's one of
Bye,
y'all, but it's all right.
bye, girl.
Thank you, Keela. Bye.
Bye.